video production news, this is America Today in the 1800s.
Good evening to you on this Monday night. We begin with a Boston newspaper officially declaring the era of good feelings. Tonight we are learning more about the era of good feelings and what it means for the average American. VPN's chief investigative correspondent Nina Nesbitt has a story for us.
Americans recently defeated the British at the Battle of New Orleans, thus ending the War of 1812. We are now entering a time citizens are calling the era of good feelings. Nationalism is surging throughout the country and humbling of the British. Political tensions no longer exist due to the status of Republicans being the only governing party. However, the era of good feelings does not consist of all good things, which we will discuss further tonight. Back to you, Dan.
Thank you, Nina. That was Nina Nesbitt. And now we turn to another big story developing south tonight. General Andrew Jackson, of recent fame at the Battle of New Orleans, has just invaded Spanish Florida, and President Monroe is reportedly supporting Jackson's hostile actions. VPN's Nina Nesbitt is on the scene down in Florida.
I'm standing here in Spanish Florida with a concerned resident because Jackson has just led his troops across the Spanish border into Florida, destroying Indian and Spanish camps with impunity. 2 British subjects have just been executed on the grounds for selling arms to Seminole Indians for raids on the frontier.
Hey, I've just been trying to catch some waves and surf, and I've been hearing all this talk about Jackson and his Americans coming to my Spanish homeland with his troops. Man, I love this place. I was born here. I surf the waves every day. This can't happen. I hope our countries can stay at peace. I've had enough of living in war. I just want to catch some gnarly waves, bro.
This is not the only man who is experiencing fear from Jackson's invasion. We still have no word whether or not the British will threaten war for the death of these 2 subjects.
Whoa, that wave was huge!
Back to you, Dan.
Well, this man will no longer have to worry because Spain took the American threat very seriously and signed a treaty with America called the Transcontinental Treaty. From now on, America owns East Florida, West Florida, as well as a window to the Pacific. In return, America renounced its claim to Texas under the Louisiana Purchase and assumed $5 million in debt to American citizens. George Canning, the British foreign minister, has also issued a statement declaring his intention to block any European attempt to colonize South America, but Monroe rejected it with the Monroe Doctrine.
The new word on the street is that the Monroe Doctrine is going to strengthen America's standing in the Western Hemisphere. The European countries will not like this one bit. They can't do anything about it, though.
Why?
Because America pledged not to intervene with European affairs, too. Now we'll be right back after our commercial break.
Hey, Dennis Nardiski here with another great new product. Are you tired of British people coming into your house without your approval? Well, you don't have to put up with it any longer with new British Away. British Away is 10 times better than British Be Gone because it gets rid of 10 times the British people. Surrender now. Never, you Brit.
It burns.
See, British Away will protect your house from all these evil British people trying to sneak in. This can be yours for only 32 easy payments of 6 pounds of cotton. To order now, send a letter to 99. We interrupt this commercial for breaking news.
This just in. The entire country is in a panic because cotton prices in England fell, and the Second Bank of the United States is making it worse by calling in its loans. So land speculators cannot pay off, and banks and people alike are being wiped out. Banks are failing throughout the country, and mortgages are being foreclosed. More on this, Nina.
Hopefully this won't last for long. The West and South are especially hard hit by this economic depression. Westerners were forced to watch as their farms and parcels of land were liquidated by the bank. Southerners are still fuming over the tariff of 1816, which they claim unfairly raised planters' costs, and so was an unconstitutional tax to benefit northern manufacturers. Here's our correspondent, Dan Kang, speaking to a Southerner.
Southerners are demanding a return to states' rights policies instead of nationalist policies. The latest economic depression has really inflamed the Southerners. I'm here with a Southerner farmer. How's the tariff affected you?
Well, it really is for the benefit of the people up north, There's nothing we can do to stop them from infringing on the Constitution if we don't stop them now. If Northerners can stretch the Constitution to create a bank or impose a protective tariff, what could prevent the Northerners from emancipating the slaves? I don't know.
As you can see, Southerners are not pleased with this turn of events. Increasingly, slavery is becoming a major divisive issue in American politics. Before, the Northwest Ordinance of 1787 banned slavery north of the Ohio River, and the Southwest Ordinance of 1790 permitted slavery below the Ohio River. But no one could have foreseen the explosive demand of slave-produced cotton by the British textile industry. People can no longer hope for the natural death of slavery due to the declining tobacco industry.
Gosh darn it, Bubba, I thought I told you to keep that cow on the leash.
Back to you, Nina.
We have an update on Missouri's status as a state. Missouri fell to political control of slaveholders and thus entered the Union as a slave state, although its entry is hotly contested by Northerners. The Tallmadge Amendment has been introduced to ban further slave imports and gradually emancipate slaves in order for Missouri to become a state, but since there is only one party, voting followed sectional lines. However, Henry Clay introduced a compromise that put no restrictions on slavery in Missouri, while admitting Maine, formerly part of Massachusetts, as a free state.
Northerners got what they wanted by prohibiting slavery in the Louisiana Purchase, except in the Arkansas Territory and the Indian Territory of Oklahoma. The Missouri Compromise has settled the issue of slavery for now, but it is still a very divisive issue. Southern whites are now a minority in the House, reduced to only 40% against Northern whites. Some fear that this sectionalist settlement will not last for long, but for now it has put the slavery issue to rest. The sectionalism is still evident in the upcoming election of 1824. More from Nina on the ground with one of the candidates himself.
The election of 1824 is so intense right now. Secretary of Treasury William Crawford, Secretary of State John Quincy Adams, Speaker of the House Henry Clay, and Andrew Jackson were originally running for president, and now only Adams and Jackson remain. This is John Quincy Adams here with me live. Who do you think will become the next president?
Well, obviously I respect Jackson for his outstanding victory at the Battle of New Orleans, but he isn't taking any stand on the major political issues like I am.
But there isn't a candidate who got the clear majority, so the House of Representatives will have to decide.
We need a strong centralized government to rule this country, and I am just the person to do that. Jackson does not care about the country. He only cares for himself and his power.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Adams. It is not immediately clear who will be the next president or who the House is leaning towards. More information to come.
We've just received news that Adams won the election. Apparently, Clay uses his influence as Speaker of the House to gain votes for Adams because they both want a centralized government. Clay was immediately named as Secretary of the State, while Jackson and his followers were outraged. Currently, Jackson is building a new party with his followers, vowing to come back in the next election.
So is this really an era of good feelings? The Republicans have lost their organizational strength, have split into regional factions in the wake of the Missouri controversy. The economy is still recovering from the panic. People are trying to expand more and more out into the West and South. It does not seem like an era of good feelings, but we will leave that up to you to decide.
Well, folks, that was VPN for you today. Have a nice evening, and we will see you tomorrow night.
And cut.